What is up, my fart smells and smart fellows? Welcome back to another video, and today I'm gonna be finally fixing my upload schedule. And I swear that on your life, on everyone's soul except for mine, I'm gonna be fixing my upload schedule with this series that I'm starting today. And well, if you haven't read the title, the name of the series is The Game of the Week. And as the title might suggest, my plan for this series is to make a video every Wednesday, hopefully, kicking off the spooky month here. My idea is to make a video every Wednesday. It might be Tuesday or Thursday, but hopefully every Wednesday, to make a video about a super niche Roblox game that doesn't have a lot of players, or that just came out, or something like that. I'm going to be making a video about it. I'm going to be reviewing it. I'm going to be saying like what's good about it, what's not good about it. And yeah, I'm going to be telling you guys whether or not you should play it. And in most cases, the answer to that is actually going to be yes, because I'm planning to review mostly good or at least decent games in this series. But anyways, to kick things off with episode 1, I have a very, very special game to showcase to you guys today. And the name of the game is Galactica Frontiers Tower Defense. Now, the reason that I'm making my first video in this game specifically is because it's a fan-made version of a game that I hold pretty close to my heart. And that game is Tower Galactica. Now, if you guys have played tower defense games from Roblox before, you have probably played the Tower Galactica. It wasn't like the most popular tower defense game on Roblox ever, it wasn't no Tower Defense Simulator, it wasn't no Tower Defense X, it wasn't no, I don't know, whatever other gambling tower defense game there is out there, it wasn't like fucking SpongeBob Tower Defense. But it was a pretty cool game, okay? It was a small little project, it was a tower defense game with a storyline, and there were like specific levels. And the whole game basically took place in space, and you would travel across space, travel to different planets, and you would duke it out on a bunch of different levels, doing your tower defense things. And the game was pretty cool, honestly. I mean, it had a lot of unique towers, it had a lot of unique skins, it had all the things that makes a tower defense game a tower defense game. But perhaps its most unique feature was that you could actually die on most of these levels. So, if you guys have never played the game before, the way that it works is that the enemies that spawn on the track, some of them have weapons and they fight back, but instead of just stunning your towers, they can actually fire their weapons at you and they can damage you. And if you end up dying on a level, then, well, first of all, you have a certain amount of lives in each level. Like, I think it was like 5 lives or something. And if you end up running out of lives, if the enemies kill your character too many times, then you would be out of the game. You couldn't place any more towers, you couldn't upgrade any more towers, you would be out of the game, you would lose. And this got pretty freaking hectic on later levels, let's just say. Like, if you guys have ever played the game, you definitely remember a level called the Duke of Niche, which is like this graveyard level with like a bunch of ghosts floating around, and the final boss, and well, actually a lot of the enemies, including the final boss, throw like 500 million projectiles at you, and you have to dodge them fucking bullet hell style while trying to upgrade all your towers and not die. And that was like probably the most difficult level in the entirety of that game. And so yeah, I think the parkour elements of Tower Galactica were really fun. And obviously, I think everything else about it was really fun. The story was goofy and pretty funny. The towers were really cool. The skins were really cool. The events were really cool. But yeah, eventually the game ended up kind of falling off and dying. And the reason for that is because it stopped getting updates. And the reason it stopped getting updates is because the developers decided to move on from Roblox, and they decided to remake the game. Hopefully someday they're gonna remake the game. But if they do remake the game, they decided that it's gonna be posted onto Steam instead of Roblox. And they said that quite a few years ago, and they told us to not get our hopes up because, the development process for, making a game from scratch is really, really long. And You know, it's not going to be exactly a short amount of time before the game releases. It's going to be at least a few long years. But anyways, in the meantime, a group of other people, a group of Tower Galactica fans, have been making another game, which is the game that I'm talking about today. And as I mentioned before, that game is called Galactica Frontiers Tower Defense. And yeah, the game is in demo right now. It only has 2 towers in a single world, but what it does show in this demo is really, really cool. I mean, first of all, I think that it improved on compared to the original game is the enemies. I mean, the enemies in the original game were really cool. You know, there were like some that would like jump at you, and you had to like do a fucking quick time event to get away from them. You know, there were some enemies that would yeah, fire at you, shoot at you, or whatever. But they were relatively just regular tower defense game enemies. You know, they would like run or be slow or stun your towers or shoot at you, and that was about it. But in this game, it's actually the enemies are quite a bit more colorful, if I might put it like that. Um, but yeah, in this game, there are enemies that like rip off their body parts that are like really heavy so they can move faster. Like for example, there are these guys in the early game who have like metallic arms, and they move super slow, but they're a little bit tanky. And then when you get them down to a certain amount of HP, they just rip off their metallic arm and start running away. There are enemies that throw other enemies. Like there's a guy, I forgot the name of the enemy, but there's an enemy that picks up other enemies and just like fucking throws them across the map. Making them like skip a good portion of the track. And if you don't have any towers in the back, then you're probably gonna leak. Um, there are these guard enemies which whack you with their fucking uh, batons or whatever the hell they're called, which take away a bit of your HP. There are other enemies that shoot explosives at you. There are enemies that, well, actually, that's kind of it for the enemies. The other interesting enemies, obviously the final boss, which just throws out a bunch of different attacks at you and tries to kill you for the most part. He only has one attack, I think, that actually stuns other towers, but as far as all of his other attacks go, they are mainly aimed at killing you. But anyways, I spent a long time talking about these enemies that can kill you and that they're targeting you and whatnot. But you're probably asking, why exactly does that matter, right? Like, why can't you just like stay out of the range of all these enemies and just like upgrade your towers from far away and never have to worry about them? And well, that's for 2 major reasons. The first reason is that you can't be too far away from your towers, because if you're too far away, then when you try to click on your towers, it just says too far away, and you can't click on them to upgrade them or sell them or anything. But the other reason that you don't want to stay too far away from the fight is because some of these enemies are actually pretty tough, and like unless you're right next to them, they're probably not gonna fire like the majority of their attacks, right? They don't fire their attacks that hurt the players unless the player is within the range of those attacks. And the reason that that's important is because every time they do an attack that targets the player, it's a pretty slow attack. Like it takes them a long time to get that attack off. So if you can stay next to a boss and like dodge his moves, uh, you know, and like circle around him and whatnot, you can actually like waste a lot of that boss's time. Because every time he does an attack that's trying to target you, he's gonna have to stop in his tracks and shoot at you, or like stomp, or like whatever other attack he does. So you can actually slow the boss quite a lot by just staying next to him and trying to get him to trigger all his attacks. So if you're skilled enough to do that, it's quite a high risk, high reward strategy, which in my opinion is really cool because obviously, as I said, you can stomp the boss in his tracks for a brief amount of time, every few seconds. But it's gonna take quite a bit of skill because you obviously don't want to get killed by all his attacks. But yeah, it's pretty cool. You can do that with actually all of the enemies that target the player. It's a really really cool strategy. To take advantage of. And I'm pretty sure the developers didn't intend for you to play it like that. They probably that's probably just like an unintended side effect of these enemies that can attack you. But I mean, it's a pretty cool feature anyway, and it's not like super OP. it's not like you're cheesing the boss or cheesing the enemies by having them like stunned for like a fraction of a second like this. You know, because again, as I said, it's a pretty high risk but high reward strategy. But it's not like you're just like, I don't know, cheating or like just cheesing the bosses or whatever. Like they don't become super easy. In fact, I used this strategy in my third run of the game. I completed only 3 runs of the first world, and unfortunately, I ended up dying on all 3 of them. But on my last run, I ended up using and abusing the strategy of like stalling the boss by having him shoot at me, and I still ended up losing. I still ended up losing just barely. I think the boss had like 60 HP by the time he left, but I still ended up losing to him. And you know, so it's not like you can cheese the boss or this or like make it super easy or whatever. So it's not cheating in my opinion. But anyways, it's just pretty cool. I think it's just super cool. I think the enemies are super cool. I think the soundtracks are super cool as well. Where I put the soundtracks of the game in the background of this video, so if you're hearing the music, that's the music from the game. And I think it's really fitting that the music is like so wacky and goofy and silly because you know, the game is meant to be like that. You know, it doesn't have the most serious story ever. I mean, in the story, like the main villain of the first world is literally a child, so you kind of you're kind of forced to turn into Israel for a second and you know, do what Israel does to children. But to be fair, in the defense of our guys in the game, the child in question uses a lot of slave labor and unethical medical experiments and whatnot. So I think I can excuse our guys just a tiny bit here, okay? But anyways, as you can tell, the story is not like super serious or anything. It's meant to be goofy and funny and silly and whatnot. And as far as bugs go in the game, there actually aren't that many of them that I encountered. I think the most pressing issue with the game is the glitch that happens when you try to start the game sometimes. So, sometimes when you try to start the game, there's a chance that the start button at the top of your screen doesn't appear. And obviously, if you don't press the start game button, you just can't start the game. You're just permanently stuck unless you leave and rejoin the lobby. So I think that's the most pressing issue with the game as of right now. So if a developer is watching, you should probably fix that. You know, uh, that's a pretty big bug. It's a pretty big one, and it's a pretty annoying one. So you should probably fix that. But yeah, outside of that, there aren't really any major bugs or anything. I think there are like some game design choices that are maybe like slightly questionable, but outside the start button glitch, there aren't any other major glitches. And as for those questionable design choices that I mentioned, I'm talking about the fact that some of the waves in the game have an unlimited amount of time before they end. And obviously that's normal for a game, right? Like, for example, in Tower Defense Simulator, like Blast Wave has an infinite amount of time before it ends. So obviously you can't like just skip the final wave or anything like that. You can't like cheese the boss or just wait for the timer to run out and then like you beat the boss without actually beating the boss. So that's quite normal for Tower Defense games. But in this game, there are actually a lot of waves that have an infinite timer where like you know, the wave only ends when you kill all the enemies or you lose. And I think that's a slight tiny bit problematic because I've come into I've been in a couple of situations where like I finish a wave and you know, there's like one enemy with like 3 HP that's like walking by and I don't have the money to stop him. And so I just have to like stand there and wait for like fucking 2 solid minutes while that enemy just slowly makes his way towards the exit. So yeah, I mean the only thing that I would suggest as a fix for this is to have it so that like maybe only, I don't know, the final wave has an infinite timer or that these infinite timers are used a lot more sparingly than they are right now. Because sometimes you run into those issues where like you just have a random ass enemy that you're just waiting for him to leak for like 2 minutes straight. Um, And outside of that, the only other game design thing that I would like to see changed is the invite system. And the invite system is actually pretty good as it stands. The only real issue that I have with it is that once you invite someone and that someone doesn't accept your invite, the invite will just stay on your screen forever until you click either yes or no. And it's not like that big of an issue, but sometimes it can be a little bit confusing if you go AFK for like a minute and then you randomly see an invitation on the bottom of your screen from a random player, and you don't know whether or not that invitation was sent to you like fucking 10 minutes ago or like 10 seconds ago. So it can cause some confusion there for the players, but it's honestly not that big of a deal. I honestly think that the infinite timer and the glitch where the start button doesn't appear sometimes are way more important in terms of fixing. But yeah, I mean, again, as I said, I don't really have any major complaints about the game outside of like those three tiny little issues. I think all the characters are super fun, all the NPCs are super fun. I like the fact that you can as you play through the game, you can like slowly unlock new rooms inside the spaceship in the lobby, and like you can slowly like discover new characters and new areas and whatnot. And I think that's super cool. I think that's absolutely great. I don't think I've ever seen a tower defense game where like your gameplay inside of the levels actually affects what the lobby looks like. So I think that's a really fucking cool addition. I'm not gonna lie, and I hope the developers continue to expand on that because I think the spaceship getting affected by how many levels you beat or like what you do in the levels is super cool. Um, but yeah, I mean, again, outside of that, I would say the game is absolutely worth playing. I think the game has a lot of really great potential. If the developers continue developing the game, I think it will turn out to be maybe not a masterpiece, but like a very close to a masterpiece. It maybe won't be like a 10 out of 10 game, but it would be like a 9.5 out of 10 game. And honestly, I'm really just excited to see where it goes. It's just so far it's been a great experience, even though I lost all my games. But it's still pretty fun. And yeah, I would suggest you guys go play it. The link to it will be down in the description below. And yeah, I think it's awesome. I think it's a great experience. But yeah, that's all I have for now. So see you later, guys. Goodbye.